Hey, what's up everybody? It's Tyler here and welcome back to another episode. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking to Blake Craig, the co-owner of Laborjack. And Laborjack, I like to look at it, is like the Uber of construction. They have an app where people can basically book jobs directly from an app with a 96% fulfillment rate. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the business, behind the scenes, a little bit about his story, and then you can learn a little bit as far as how things are looking forward, so that way you can make decisions, whether it's for your own labor force or at minimum just to be aware of how the industry is changing. I think you're gonna like it, so enjoy the video. All right, hey, so what's up, Blake? So how many guys are you actually running every single day?
So right now we're operating about 50 to 100 people on any given day, and managing that workload is quite the intricate dance.
That's crazy. And you guys are doing more like B2B, so you're running crews for other companies, right? Almost as kind of like a temporary staffing. So how many companies are you guys working with?
Essentially we are an alternative to temporary staffing, as most people traditionally know it, which is not a great industry. So on any given day, we're working with 15 to 25 different companies, balancing crews of up to in excess of 100 different people on different job sites. And thank God we've got some incredible software to help the logistics behind that, because you're dealing with people and things will go wrong.
That's crazy. I mean, I am getting gray hair myself, and I only manage 12 people. So like how are you not going just totally insane managing so many people on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, we're really focused on our processes, and it holds so true that if you build the right processes, you don't manage people, you manage processes. And so we've had to get very accustomed to moving on from people very quickly. And so we have a whole process built out so that we can do that, and we're spending less man hours working on that. We've put in place processes to understand and try and get in front of the inevitable of saying, hey, so-and-so is not likely to show up because of X, Y, Z that we see on the app that they have. And so the more that we can get in front of the inevitable and try and be proactive to solving these solutions has helped us operate at a bigger scale. But right. I think the most impressive thing is that we've got a piece of software that allows one human to manage 100 people on 25 different projects at once. And that's something that we're trying to figure out how to scale and help other businesses manage their turnover.
I mean, to me, it's just so crazy. And I want to back up a little bit because I want the audience to get to know you, get to know Laborjack, and like everything as far as what you guys do in the business model. Because there's a ton that we can learn from you guys. And for me in particular, it's awesome because it's just a whole different way to look at doing projects and staffing and all that. So do you mind just like, I guess just rewinding a little bit and telling the audience, what is Laborjack?
Yeah, absolutely. Laborjack is an alternative to the traditional temp staffing world as we know it. We have taken the Uber approach of the gig economy type worker and are really curating an opportunity to a workforce that is fit for the demands that they have right now. So Laborjack is an alternative to temp staffing. We focus in the light industrial markets of construction, events, and warehousing, and we find workers on a fractional basis, and we also do temp to hire. So rather than you spending the time to go out and hire your own workers, you can try then buy type of mindset to get the right folks in the door, because it's very expensive to be wrong on the hiring process.
Oh my God, it's terrible. Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking even a little bit before this podcast on even a personal story of mine, how I basically lost one of my businesses. Granted, I could have saved it if I had someone like yourself, for instance, where if all of a sudden I have a labor crisis and I can't fulfill on the work that I was promised or that I promised my customers to do, especially as small contractors, and that's what a lot of people who are listening are. They either haven't started or they're getting ready to start. If you only have 2 people, then they better be the right fit, because all of a sudden you lose 1 or worst case 2 people, and you go from being able to do, say, 3 projects a week to none, and that could literally kill a business. So what type of businesses do you guys normally work with?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked from everything from Fortune 100 companies down to Somebody who's hanging drywall is a one-man crew. And it's really our specialty is managing anything that has a variable nature as far as your workforce, which contractors getting off the ground are, that you don't know exactly what your workload is. You can win big projects and you can go through lulls where you don't have everything lined up as well. So we're able to use a fractional workforce that says, hey, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to need 8 people. I won't need anybody on Friday. And then the following week, I only need 2 people. So we're able to manage that and optimize the efficiency of the workforce you have, because the worst thing in the world is you have too many people on site, and now all of a sudden each person is now detracting from the output of the others, because you have somebody that doesn't have a job, they're negative productivity. They're not at zero, they're actually bringing down everybody else.
Right.
So having that right number is crucial.
Right. We've noticed that on our own job sites as well. If we have too many people, the job will actually take longer than if we had less people. And so, and as a business owner, right, and us as contractors, especially in like the outdoor space, like I'm in concrete and landscaping, it's not like you're sending a one-man technician. We're not sending like a one-man to go replace a water heater. We have custom projects. We could be doing a 4x4 concrete slab, like replacement of driveway, or I could be doing a 400 by 40, right? Like a massive building. And being able to accommodate both those types of jobs is just crazy. So that's something that Laborjack basically offers, is like the fill-in. And I want to ask you guys as far as like how you guys do that. So when you guys got started though, I guess like why Laborjack? Like how does one even find themselves doing something like this?
By chance, I guess.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't ever think I was going to try and revolutionize the staffing industry or the gig economy world. But I kind of, dating all the way back to college, a good friend of mine, we ran a labor-only moving company out of a fraternity house. And it was exactly what you think as far as how well a business should be ran. But we posted ads that were free. We printed off flyers down at the College of Business and got clients. And we were happy. And what I learned in that process was our customers were always appreciative to get somebody who actually cared and was showing up bright-eyed and enthusiastic to do that job. The second thing was that my friends always wanted to work for me. And I quickly realized that, hey, it's a lot better to make $5 an hour off of somebody else working versus making $20 an hour myself. And so I understood the value that I was able to now go out there and use my network. So got a job, put it on the back burner, and was fortunate to meet my co-founder, and was just sharing this idea as Uber was blowing up. Let's say, hey, how do we do the Uber for work? And we won't want to own anything, but own any equipment or any trucks or anything like that. But can we facilitate the sourcing of good people? And so we started doing this, based on the moving and home services project. And then COVID really threw a big wrench in everybody's life.
Oh, right.
And it was specifically brutal for the hiring markets. As everybody was coming back, it was so hard to hire. And all of these business owners that had went through so much change didn't have the ability to predict their workflow going out or coming in, and they weren't able to hire people. They were spending so much time scheduling interviews. Indeed was jacking up the prices on what it cost to advertise on there, and it made so much more sense for them to start leveraging services to get good help. Well, the problem is the staffing agencies weren't able to keep up either. They couldn't hire enough people, and they don't have the best track record of job fulfillment. And so in an industry where the temp staffing, light industrial, is about a 46% fulfillment rate across the industry. We're at over 96%.
Wow. Dang.
And
it's through the app, right? It's all through the software, basically.
The technology that we've built is absolutely what enables our success, because it caters to the demands of the workforce. 76% of job seekers now say that flexibility is the number one thing they look for. It's not stability, it's not high income, it's flexibility. And that drives business owners nuts for good reason. Like, hey, I want somebody that's dependable, that I can counterbalance, but we can't shift the narrative that's out there. But the more that we can play along with it, and so we've built a system that allows somebody to be flexible make a good income. And simultaneously, we can now manage a variable workforce for a business owner so that they're never turning down jobs based on fears that they won't have the crews to get it done. And so it allows them to be more bullish. And also, they're not spending the time with all the HR logistical nightmares of hiring people, running screenings, making sure they're the right people, scheduling interviews for people that don't show up.
Right.
And they can go out there and sell and execute on what they know best.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a quick break from today's show to remind you guys that I built up a $4 million concrete and landscape business in under 5 years. And I was able to do that specifically because I know how to do marketing. I know how to generate leads. And if you're getting tons of leads, you don't have to be great at sales. You don't have to be great at the individual trade because it makes up for so much of the difference. So, as a reminder, here at Contractor CEO, I'm looking to partner up with one company per area to help them get more leads and win more home service projects. So if that's something that you feel interested in, then make sure you claim your spot down below, register for a free strategy session with our team here at Contractor CEO to see if we can help you scale your business. And it's crazy to me that more business owners don't look at it like that, because I can't tell you how many people that I talk to all the time. And they're like, well, man, I'm 5 months booked out. And then my follow-up question to that is like, well, why? Like, why? I mean, if the getting's good, then why don't you want to collect money now? Because that's always my philosophy. And I'm always balancing that in my own business. I want to sell and do as much as I possibly can. And I get scared and nervous almost in both directions, right? Like if I'm not booked enough out, that's very stressful. But if I'm too booked out, that's also stressful because I know that I'm leaving money on the table because I'm telling Mary, who reaches out about her patio, oh, Mary, well, you're going to have to wait till the end of the summer to get your patio, and she wants it now. Well, then I can't sell her. I can't collect the money. So how have you seen certain business owners like get creative with certain stuff like that, like scaling up their labor force to sell extra jobs? Because to me, at least, that's the biggest value that small contractors can really benefit from something like this, is it's not like you could use it day to day, but where I see like the money bags is like, I want to book my guys out. And then with the excess stuff that I can't count on selling all the time, filling in the gaps. Like, how do people do that?
Yeah, so it's twofold. It's managing that variableness, which allows you to be more bullish and go after these bigger accounts so that you can hit the growth numbers, and then you can see that and then start hiring more full-time people and building your business that way. And this is a perfect transition to let you start to do that. And by hiring, we're seeing this big surge towards fractional employment, if you will. So rather than hiring a full-time marketing team, which can be very expensive, you can go out there and hire a fractional marketing company that goes in there and really is a part of your team and can go out there and sell on your behalf so that you can focus on what you're good at. And this fractional ownership allows business owners to go out there and cover more of their bases with experts. And so we just happen to do that as the experts in hiring.
Well, it's just like any field in business. I mean, you mentioned marketing, right? That's like our whole spiel at Contractor CEO is we do marketing for contractors. And what a lot of people don't understand is they're like, I just need a good marketing person. Well, one, that's expensive. Because I mean, even if you're going to pay, your cousin to do your marketing for you because she took a graphics design class, she's not a marketer, but you could think that she is. But it's like when someone hires us, right? They're getting a graphic designer, a web designer, an ad specialist, a content specialist. They're getting all these specialties, but they're paying a fraction of obviously what it would cost to hire a team. What does your guys' back-end team look like? Because I am not an expert in hiring and recruiting. If anything, I'm like the opposite. It's like my least favorite thing about business. I cannot stand it.
Right.
So like, what does it take to run an operation like Laborjack?
Yeah, and you're spot on, Tyler. It's the chances of you finding a marketing person that is a good designer, understands buyer psychology, understands the algorithm effects to manipulate the back end for what ads to want to win is tough. And so we're doing the same thing.
Impossible.
So it's impossible.
Impossible.
That person doesn't exist.
Yeah. And if they do, you can't afford them.
Right. And they're likely going to be they're going to build their own marketing company and start doing what they're best at and scaling up their business. And so we've kind of boiled that down too. So we have folks that just focus on recruiting and retention. And then we have the technology side of it that takes the feedback from what we're seeing out in the field, what our workers really want, and we're building the software that really caters to them. And simultaneously, we have account managers who talk to our clients, who understand their pain points, and are truly trying to be partners for them and not just a transactional one-off type of event. And our motto from the beginning is we're here to build relationships, not close transactions. And so whether it's our worker relations team that is building relationships with our workforce, or it's our client services team that's building relationships with our clients, we're using all of it. And then fortunately, we have a lot of really, really smart minds that are focused on the logistical side of things that make this
basically
all work.
All on one aspect of the business, which is basically like HR/hiring. So let's just say, for instance, if someone wasn't working with someone like Laborjack and they are hiring their own employees, which obviously, you know, us as business owners, we do have to have a mix, right? We have to have our own, and we have to have the ability to scale up for either bigger jobs or just sell on and take on more projects. What are some of the tactical pieces of advice that you would give a small contractor if they did want to go out and find their own, whether it would be like a laborer or someone skilled? Like, what does that look like? Like, what would you recommend? How would they do that?
Yeah, I mean, the best hiring timeline is forever. You want to hire people that can be with you and can grow and do all of that. And one of the most rewarding things that we've done is see clients that have graduated out of, you know, needing Laborjack for daily because they're getting enough business and they have that consistency where they can hire full time. And what usually happens is they're saying, hey, we've been working with you guys for so long. You've built up this preferred workforce for us. And Tyler and Jay have really shined as the top guys. We'd like to hire them full time. And we facilitate that. And now they have their team and they still use us. And there's still these big projects that they'll come in there for. But it is a very cool feeling that says, hey, you know, we were a bridge at a point in time for their growth. They hit these growth milestones. They got more consistency, and they were able to run their business because it does make more sense if you can to hire people full time, if you can keep them busy, and you have the same people showing up every day. That's what's in the best interest of the business.
Right.
And again, we're here to build relationships, not close transactions, and so we want to facilitate those. And there's an opportunity for a business to graduate beyond what Laborjack is doing for them right now. That's a huge win for us. And fortunately, it's come back that we get to still continue to work with these clients and just at a different level.
It's probably never done. It's more just like a different phase. And I guess that's what I'm asking too. For someone who's looking to make like that first key hire, are there certain like tactical pieces of advice that you would recommend for that person? Like, oh man, make sure if someone like, this is like one key thing that we look out for when hiring someone, or I guess like what, because most business owners, they know nothing about it. So they're just totally guessing. What's some of the things that you could give as advice? Like what are some of your guys' I guess industry secrets on the back end?
Yeah, I'm happy to share that. What we're doing that's different is we employ a values-based recruiting system in which we're trying to find people that share our values as an organization and put a culture behind what it means to say, hey, work doesn't have to suck. And so I'm a firm believer that you hire based on attitude and not just skill set.
Is that like framing the interview questions, or like, because I get that as a concept, right? But like, how do you do that? Because I mean, everyone, like for instance, if I wanted to hire you for something, I mean, if I'm like, hey, you know, Blake, do you typically have a good attitude? Like no one's going to say no, right? And that's what like, I don't know how to do that when I'm hiring people, is to like get someone to tell me the truth. Like I'm sure you guys have navigated that because that's so hard.
Well, and there's a lot of devils in disguises out there too. And people can tell you, I've had a lot of people that we've interviewed for our internal team and, you know, just as just regular workers that, man, interview blown out of the water. I'm so excited to get this person started. 3 weeks into it, they're not living up to what you thought. And
is there certain warning flags that you guys see, or like patterns, or what are some of the things that you guys have kind of noticed? Because I mean, you guys have obviously done this. I mean, how many interviews would you say that you guys have had since starting Laborjack, which was I think 7 years ago, right?
Yes, we started back in 2016 and have graduated our process significantly I think we have successfully onboarded over 3,000 different workers.
Oh my God.
Or I shouldn't say successfully, we've pushed them through our system. Yeah. And so we really had to build a giant funnel. And one of the most interesting things that I learned, amongst many others, but it's easier to hire 100 people than it is to hire one. And by hiring 100 people, it allows you to fire quickly.
Be wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so basically what you're saying is during the interview process, really, you should almost go into it with the mindset and attitude that you're gonna have to let go of people. And even no matter how good at interviewing you are, like you gotta be, when you say fire fast or move on fast, like what does that look like? Like they show up like day one, or is that?
The best time to fire somebody is the first time you've thought about firing them. And somebody told me that a long time ago, and I kind of refused to believe it because I'm big, like, hey, we all make mistakes. We got to do second chances, third chances. And that is not a steadfast rule, but more often than not, it's correct. And so, again, back to building systems. We have built systems in place that says, hey, we don't fire anybody. We deactivate their account and say, hey, you have violated
nice
X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But we have built up the luxury to afford to do that because we hire at such volume. And so, again, if you hire 100 people, it's a lot easier for you to, move on from 5 of them than if you hire 3 people and you move on from 1 of them. That is a huge hole. I mean, that's 33% of your workforce gone.
Right.
And and we have people that all they do is they onboard, interview, and they're a salesperson for why Laborjack is an awesome opportunity. Hey, you get to have a flexible schedule. You get paid daily. You have an app that you can scroll left and right on the different jobs that fit your skill set, and you can now go out there and balance your own schedule, and effectively, you now have the tools to be your own boss.
Right.
But that's all they do is they go out there and they sell this, and then they ask these values questions on saying, hey, one of our values is being proactive. What does that mean to you? And the more you can ask these in open-ended situations and get that feedback, the better you can have to do it. But the biggest thing is do we have people that are out on the job sites that are acting in these values? And the more that we have that culture set up that people are, in fact, acting on the values that we have in place, the more likely everybody's going to be to gravitate upwards towards that versus when we remove people off the platform. And the B players can be worse than the C players because they will bring down the level of the A players. And we're taking all of those kind of practices at heart and applying them at a very low level of kind of the entry point of job set versus hiring for executives.
Hey, real quick break from the show. I wanted to ask you guys, what is the most expensive thing in business? If you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, it's labor. Or maybe you're thinking, no, it's equipment. Equipment is so expensive. Maybe you're thinking it's materials. Well, no matter what your guess was, if it was those 3, it's actually wrong. The biggest expense in business is simply just not knowing how to make more money. So knowledge, right? Like if you knew how to make $1 million today, well, guess what? You'd be making $1 million. So if you're not making $1 million, let's say you're making 100,000, then not knowing how to make $1 million is costing you 900,000 bucks. You get what I mean? Well, anyways, don't try to do business yourself. Here at Contractor CEO, we've built and scaled our own concrete and landscape business to $4 million plus and are helping all kinds of other people with the proper systems and information on how to grow their business. So if that's something that interests you and you want to get the knowledge to make more money, fill out a form down below, talk to our team, and we'll see how we can help you. See you there.
When you guys started more as almost like a moving company, right? Where people would hire you, and this is like kind of fascinating to me. So people would hire you, if I'm not mistaken, to move, but you guys didn't have any moving trucks, and so they would just pay for the labor, so the customer would have to supply their own equipment. Are you guys still doing stuff like that, or not really?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have several different divisions within Laborjack, and it's moving, home services, and staffing. The staffing is where we've seen the most growth because it is the biggest problem that's out there facing really our society right now, and business owners. But yeah, we absolutely, we have a full service line, but the whole idea of it is how do we create an asset-light business that minimizes our risk and ultimately solves one specific problem, which is good people are hard to find. And so we started doing this based around moving and labor only moving. And what we realized is that our gift was not helping people save money on their moving. It was finding good people that are real willing and able to work certain types of tasks. And so while doing that, we started getting calls back saying, hey, so-and-so was fantastic on my move. Home Depot just dropped off 3 tons of rocks in our driveway. Would they be able to come over and help disperse them through the backyard? Yeah, absolutely. They love that. I mean, we were getting started as a business, and then we got a call from a construction company who one of their subs was coming in to pour concrete foundations, and there was a bunch of still forms where they were supposed to come in there to dig, and they needed to go. So we showed up and we provided a crew, and we got the site ready to go so that their subs could then come in there and execute. And that contractor hired us out for the remainder of the project to do all sorts of different things to enable the subs to come in there and be more efficient at what they were good at. So
Right.
The framers would come in and the lumber would be there organized, ready to go. At the end of the day, all the drywall would be thrown into a dumpster by our crews so that they could come in there and their finishers could get started with texture and painting and all that stuff, and they wouldn't have to deal with all this transition. And that was really a huge way for them to win the subs to want to work on their projects versus any other project that's out there.
Yeah.
That's it's competitive to win and attract good subs because they're in such high demand.
I mean, everything's competitive. I mean, kind of what you're basically saying is the name of the game for any business, especially home service, is efficiency.
Yeah.
Because I downloaded a report recently, and the average concrete contractor makes 7% net income. That's it. So, right, everyone wants to have this $1 million business. Well, guess what? You have this $1 million business that does 7%. You make 70 grand.
Right.
My friend is a meat cutter at Costco making more than that. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
man, like, so really the name of the game is efficiency, because if you could go from 7% net to 15% net by doing creative things like this, that is doubling your profit. And essentially what it is just rewarding you for creativity. And I just got back from the Alex Hormozy event myself at the scaling workshop. And this was a big mindset shift for me, but it kind of reminds me of this in the moment, is the key to every successful business and what the best CEOs are, is they are the best at allocating resources. And so if you really think about that, right? Like, let's just say as a business, I have me and I have 4 people who are helping me. Well, how do I get more out of my people? Out of just sitting there like whipping them, making them work faster, right? And like certain things like this, that's what gets me excited about the economy changing. Because for instance, there's going to be people that don't change and that do things the old way forever. And then people who adapt, get more creative and figure out more efficiencies. Well, now all of a sudden, guess what? They have an unfair advantage in the marketplace and they're the ones winning. And so it's all about that. In your opinion, how do you kind of see the market changing in home service moving forward? I mean, obviously, I know you guys have a very biased view, but I'm just kind of curious because you guys are kind of on the forefront of even, I mean, I hear you keep saying the word gig economy, and to really what that means is someone just basically paying, or they're getting paid for like a gig. So they're not like a full-time position, but it's like Uber where you can just say, oh, I'm going to clock in today and I'm going to go make $250.
Right.
Like,
there's a little bit more of a commitment involved
more
in
of a
that.
commitment, right.
And I think where everything is trending is a lot of the talented technicians and service professionals are going to be looking to get out of the big structured companies and are going to be more of the freelancer, whether it's a plumber or an electrician. There's enough work out there to do that. And so however you can package and bundle the systems to effectively run a business, then somebody with the right skill sets can say, hey, I'm going to take 80% of my time to focus on the skill sets of my trade. And I can run a full-fledged business because I have a piece of software that does the invoicing, that helps me organize who's going to help me be on the jobs, that tells me where and when I need to be there, and also helps me find the jobs. So
Okay.
I think that that's the way that everything is going to continue to shift.
Okay.
There are so many more businesses being started, and I'm not going to try to make up the statistics because I don't have them, but since COVID, the amount of LLCs that have been started, created, is astronomical, and that's because people are at all levels are saying, hey, I want to control my time. And you mentioned that the allocation of resources. Well, the richest, most successful people I know will all tell you the same thing, that the most valuable resource is their time.
Yeah.
And how can you allocate that to the highest and best use will determine your success. And so if there is something that is in our case, can you outsource the advertising for job openings, the scheduling of the interviews, the management of the people who do or do not show up, the onboarding process? Can you outsource that and effectively buy back your time?
Right. Yep.
And even on the residential side of things too, if Home Depot comes and drops off 3 tons of rock in your house and you want to do this do-it-yourself project, well, there's a lot of people that are more into the do-it-partially-myself project.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, hey, now a 3-day project you got done in a day and it cost you
Right.
a couple $100. Most people would agree that, hey, 2 days of my time back is worth way more than a couple $100.
Yeah, time back, and to me, it's more multiplication, because you got to think, if you got a business, right? Either way, you got to pay for all your overhead. You got to pay for your trucks and your marketing and your insurance. And so the name of the game is, what if we could get more revenue, but our overhead doesn't go up? So even if we're paying a little bit more on the labor side, but my overhead doesn't go up.
Right.
And on top of that, I could double the projects, because let's just say, for instance, right, with the landscape project, if I got to go and remove a deck before I can come in and do like this beautiful stamped concrete patio, like that takes my team forever. And what if I could have 2 of those demos going on, and then my team follows behind just doing the skilled part, like the install? Like that's the way that you could take your one crew and all of a sudden double, triple your output. And then also when the time slowed down, then you're not committed to having that many people. So like, I think that's like, it's incredible. And I want to do more and more stuff like this. And again, that's why for me, it's all about solving those bottlenecks. And then it allows me to do what I love, which is marketing and sales. I just want to be able to market and sell projects and just do them and not have to think about all the other constraints. And so that's just one of the constraints
Right.
that you can get rid of. So I'm kind of curious. So speaking of marketing, on the marketing side, so, your guys' business model is a little fascinating, right? Because you have 2 sides. You got to market and bring in all of these people to come work at Laborjack. And then if they do work with you, it is a gig economy, but they want to have some type of stability where they're like, oh man, I could get a job today and I want to work, say, tomorrow, or like they want to have some type of opportunity. So you got to market to get them.
Yeah.
And you got to market to get the job. So those are 2 totally different things. What are you guys doing on that front?
Yeah, it's completely separate marketing, and it's totally distinct how we do that. So for the worker acquisition, we have a variety of different worker acquisition channels.
Right.
And
You said it's like Indeed. You guys use Indeed or not really?
we do use Indeed. Indeed is the 800-pound gorilla in the industry. Everybody knows that. But what Indeed has done is they have almost cannibalized their system, so that they've made it so easy to apply for jobs that if you post a job on Indeed, you'll get this fallacy of saying, hey, I can hire myself because I just posted the job description on Indeed and I got 35 applications in there for one position.
Right.
Finding the right person out of those 35 applications
It's terrible.
is much more difficult than you think. And Indeed has made it so easy so that you can go out there and put your resume in for all these different positions, and then all of a sudden you have forgotten what all you've even applied for. And so again, back to that thing where it's easier to hire for 100 people than for one.
So that's the easy side. So then I shouldn't say the easy side for you guys, because it sounds like you guys could hire a lot of people. How are you guys getting work on, say, the other end? Because it sounds like you guys could really scale up. Basically, like the more either businesses that you work with or the more like direct to consumer. What are you guys doing as far as the marketing end on that front? Like bringing in the jobs to give your labor the work?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a full marketing funnel for that. And so we do a lot of digital ads, and Google has been our best source of customer acquisition.
Like ads or SEO?
Both.
Yeah, okay.
And determining the different performance, again, as you know, is very much an art.
Right.
But when people need help, the majority of people, first place they turn is
How much
Google.
do people pay? Like if I'm a homeowner and I go on there today and I want to book Laborjack to have, say, 4 guys show up at my house on Friday to help clear out my garage because I got a mess and I don't want to do that myself. What do they pay?
Funny you ask. I literally just hired somebody to clean out my garage because I'm trying to buy back some time and I was shortening my window. So I did that 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But we really pride ourselves in transparent pricing. And so we will give you a quote, and it's all based on an hourly estimate. So everything is prorated down to the nearest 15 minutes for how much time was spent working on that project. And depending on what task it is, our prices range from $42 to $50 on the residential side, and depending on what we're doing for on the staffing side, we can move off of that number a little bit.
And for the homeowner, that's so cheap.
Really quick break from the show, just to remind you guys that Contractor CEO is the best digital marketing agency for contractors. I own my own construction business, and I had to learn the hard way of how to generate leads, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO. We know how to scale here at Contractor CEO. So if you're looking to scale your business, and one of the things that's slowing you down is not getting enough leads, right? You can have good leads, but if you don't have the quantity, then you're gonna have to lower your prices, you're gonna have all these problems. Anyways, reach out to us here at Contractor CEO if you want more high quality leads, and we can definitely help you out. See you there.
But you guys can do it because you don't have that overhead, which is good, right? Because say for me, as a business, I have to charge $90.50. That's my current labor rate on my guys in the market. Plus, I charge 40% markup on my materials. Right. And like I need that markup on materials because if I was just charging my labor rate, I wouldn't make any money. So like that just seems it seems like this could be expanded so much. I guess also why, I don't want to say this in a bad way, so I'm not like in an attacking way. You're not going to
offend me, Tyler.
All right, but why so cheap? Because it feels like you guys are already offering such a great service because you're offering also to the customer. The customer doesn't even have to call someone like me and I have to give them a custom quote and blah, 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 blah. They can just go online and like basically put in their stuff, and it just seems like a win-win because it's more flexible, it's faster, and it's cheaper. So it honestly makes me scared for my own job safety. But yeah, so like why is it that cheap?
Well, we try to create not just a win-win, but a win-win-win. And so we're trying to figure out what the right unit economics are. So hey, what is a livable wage that somebody needs to make? And everything is getting more and more expensive, and that number is going up, and it's going to continue to go up. And then it's a win for us as an organization because we have a decent margin and we have these certain efficiencies that we can make money off of. Right. And it's a win for our clients because they are getting a value back, and they're saying, hey, I don't need to hire somebody to fully manage this project for me. I can manage a lot of it myself, and I can turn a 4 or a 6 hour, I can turn a 24-hour project into a 6-hour one doing myself for $1,000.
Right.
And that's worth it. And so we're allowing them to do that, and we're okay with where our pricing margins are at right now. And on the contracting side too, we're not the cheapest staffing agency out there. And if price is your number one decision factor, Laborjack's probably not the best option for you. So we're factoring all of these different things in there, and ultimately we're finding that for most people, price is not how they make decisions. It's saying, hey, I want a consistency that when I ask for 4 people, I'm going to get 4 people. And when I ask for them at 7 a.m., they're going to be there at 7 a.m. And we have a track record of doing that more consistently than other folks. And then to go a layer beyond that is the culture and things that we're doing is we do have a group of workers that takes pride in what they're doing. And obviously I'm biased, but I think that enthusiasm is contagious. And when we can go out there and put other people that have that right mindset, and it very well, is that you absorb the energy of those around you no matter what you're doing. So if you're hanging out with other business owners that are innovative and that are the early adopters and are looking for better ways, you're more likely to be that as well. And then that's no different from the workers out in the field that are saying, hey, I don't want to think that my job sucks. I don't want to just go out there and work until I can go home. Saying, hey, I'm going to have some fun out here. I got to be out here anyways. I can make the choice to have fun and have a good attitude, or I can make the choice to think that work sucks.
Yeah. I mean, well, what they say, you can only have, so there's a scale of 3 things. There's price, there's quality, and there's service. And you can only have 2 to 3. It's literally impossible to have 3 of 3. And so you've got to figure out which of those 3 makes the most sense to you. And so, yeah, I totally agree. If someone says they're the best quality and the best service, and they're also the cheapest, unless they're Walmart and they literally have a disadvantage of, actually I shouldn't even say that, because we all know that Walmart's terrible quality, but that is their business model and they do have an unfair advantage as far as distribution. But we're all small business owners. We probably don't have an unfair advantage. But I mean, I'm glad that most of the blue collar industry is so slow to innovate, because again, that's what allows me to get out in the market and produce outsized returns for myself. And so it's great. And we are sharing some of the secrets, and that's kind of the goal of this podcast and of the brand of the channel, is to help people think differently. Because at the end of the day, the people that are going to win are the people that are changing. I used to work for a marketing company, and I can't tell you how many times I'd get on the phone. This was back in like 2015. And I'd get on the phone with a business owner, and they'd say, well, I was doing so good. Like, I don't understand what happened. And I said, well, what do you do to get jobs? And they're like, well, I advertise on the yellow pages. And some young people might not even know what that is anymore, which is crazy. I actually barely even knew what it was. And I was like, what do you mean you advertise on the yellow pages? Oh, like the phone book is like, well, no wonder, right? And so it is cool, because I think times are changing, and they're changing when it comes to, like say even a Contractor CEO, one of the reasons why we provide such great value is I can hire a whole team in the Philippines who does great work and offer such a great price to my customers here in the United States, versus some of the super high-end agencies. I can produce very high-end work for a lower price, but only because I do have that advantage, because I can manage the team in the Philippines. And then same thing, as business owners, we can now, for instance, sell a job at $90 an hour, $100 an hour, and work with a staffing agency like Laborjack. And even if our costs are $35, $40 an hour, like the margin on that is huge. And so especially like most people actually stay away from labor only jobs, and maybe a service like this, Like for me as a business owner, I'm more like, man, how could I utilize something like this? Because I hate labor only jobs, because again, I need to make my material markup too. But if I was outsourcing this, basically almost as like a subcontractor, and I didn't have to keep you guys busy all the time, but I could just call you guys up, hey, I have this project. If I can make $60 an hour and not even be on site, like that's a win for me.
That's the home run scenario.
That's the win.
Yeah, and nobody knows how hard it is to make money on just labor rates than I do. And it is difficult, and every business has more expenses than meets the eye. It doesn't matter. And so the opportunity to outsource and to find cheaper ways, and to utilize people who are doing things at scale that you can then leverage smaller, provides huge efficiencies. And topic for another day, but I'm a huge fan of the overseas outsourcing to a lot of these different firms, and you can get great talent in the Philippines that are super appreciative of the opportunity to work.
It's crazy.
And that is, to me, that culture of saying, hey, I am appreciative to the opportunity to work. And my dad, from when I was a kid, would always preach this: is, hey, you never turn down an opportunity to make money, because you don't know when the next one will be. And that is not at the heart of a lot of people right now.
I mean, doctors in the Philippines make $8 an hour. So I'm working with these like 22-year-olds, like fresh out of like top tier universities in the Philippines, making $8 an hour, and they are ecstatic. And this is something else too, like even beyond what we provide for our clients at Contractor CO as far as marketing, I'm even helping a couple of our clients now. They say, well, hey, I want an office manager because I want someone who can handle emails and scheduling and pay invoices, but I don't want to pay 50 grand a year. And I'm like,
Right.
well, hey, I happen to know how to hire someone for $8 an hour. And so like, I mean, again, it's just all about that. And like, we're going to have that competitive advantage until everyone is doing that. So for me, it's like, man, we're
It
just
will change at
it
some
will
point,
eventually, and then it will be AI, and then right. But there's like 1,000 other things. So we're kind of coming close to the time wrapping this up. I'm kind of curious, like moving into the future for Laborjack. You guys are mainly in Colorado here, but just from like a business perspective, I'm just curious. How do you guys plan to expand? Are you guys, I saw on your website, franchising, or you want to open up more locations yourself, or like what are you guys trying to do to like basically expand this?
Yeah, all of the above. I think the blessing that we have is that because we're so tech focused, we have the opportunity to share our systems at a rate that makes franchising very, very viable. And there's this big trend that's coming for business owners to run the home-based franchise concept. And there's a lot of really cool concepts out there that are blowing up, and they're giving people the opportunity to run their business. And so I think that Laborjack is the perfect home-based franchise. And because of all the focus that we've had on our systems, so we are getting close to figuring out the right ways to franchise that. There's a lot of legal work involved, and the biggest thing for me is, in my ethics, is I don't want to sell a franchise until I'm certain that it can be profitable. And if somebody's going to give me their money, if they work the systems that I have, they will make money. We're not quite there yet, but that is where we're coming. So we're starting to field inquiries about franchising in different markets. And we also are wanting to open up a few strategic core locations outside of Colorado, and are working with some large national clients and doing projects in other markets outside of Colorado. And we had earlier this month, we had our first day where we were doing projects in Texas, Colorado, and Minneapolis, and that was the first time we did 3 states. So most of what we're doing is still right here in our backyard, but the expansion opportunities are huge for us. And I think the other opportunity that I am super excited about is, how at the end of the day we've built a logistics software, and the benefits and the opportunities that we've uncovered in the light industrial temp staffing world are not fully utilizing the power of what we have built. So I think there's some opportunity for us to scale and offer our software and the ability to send one-click invoices that are high level, high detailed out on behalf of contractors. There's a lot of cool things that we can do to help provide additional resources in running a business too.
Right. Yeah, and the invoicing is great. I mean, I checked out the app. It's an amazing app. And my favorite part is like, it's still mind blowing to me that I could just post a job and say, if I wanted someone to be at my house on Friday because I needed help, or I'm a business owner, I need help on a project, you could post it and someone's going to be there. And like you said, you have a 96% fulfillment rate.
Right.
That's insane.
And somebody that's going to have the competency to get it done at an acceptable level.
Yeah, not just a warm body, like a
a
competent person.
And it's you don't need to drive to Home Depot and ask a bunch of weird, awkward questions and hope that person that comes over to your house, like, no, there's an app for that. And so we're facilitating that transaction, and the biggest and best use of that is for businesses that need a crew of people and not just one person. So they can come there, we can build out a preferred list so that if you need 2 to 8 people Monday through Friday, we can build you out a preferred list of 15. We're handling all the turnover because we're continuing to populate good workers into that list. And we've got systems set up that make it very easy for you to provide feedback and say, hey, this is somebody that I like. This is somebody that I don't want again.
Right.
And that over time can build great consistency and quality. And now we've got a winning solution.
Awesome. Well, if someone wants to get in touch with you or Laborjack, what's the best way to do that?
I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. on LinkedIn and don't do as much on all the other social medias that I would like to be doing, but our website is laborjack.com, and feel free to reach out to me with any inquiries. And we've got an awesome customer support staff that truly embodies that value of building relationships, not transactions. So if you have a project around the house, or you've been struggling with a hiring decision, or you've got an opportunity to win a big job that would be life-changing for your business, give us a call and we'll talk about that, and we'll give you honest feedback. And if we're not the right solution for you, we might know who is, but more importantly, we'll be honest and say, hey, we're not it, but give us a call.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast today, Blake, and thanks everyone for listening. And we will catch you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Really appreciate it.